Well, hello, friends, and thanks for joining us for a new edition of First Fridays for this HI-5 moment. As you see, there are more than one extra people over here today, so let you guys know my good friend Rob. You guys also remember my good friend Sarah in the corner, but we have another friend. This is Miss Brenda over here, and she is going to be introduced by Sarah. So Sarah, take it away.
Yes, hello, First Fridays people. So I am so excited to introduce Brenda Gerber Vincent. She is, I'd like to call her my GFW bridge mama because she has given so much encouragement and just great advice and mentorship through GFW and our bridge program that has started this last year. So Brenda is the Vice President of Community and Corporate Impact at Greater Fort Wayne Inc., or GFW for short. She's also in the Aspen Institute for Global Leadership, and among many other roles as a wife and a mom and volunteering in our community, and I just love her passion. So I am so excited that she is here with us today for First Friday's HI-5.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Rob, for inviting me to participate. I have no idea what I'm in for, but I'm thanking you like you too. But I'm ready.
You're ready.
I very much appreciate you including me. Thank you.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll kick us off with the first question that we have. And being that this is troubling times and outside of it, and you've been in many leadership roles, what would you say has been one mistake that you witnessed leaders make over and over again?
Say that last part again.
One mistake that you witnessed leaders make over and over.
Okay, I have to clarify. Like during this time, this time that we
in general.
General.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think well, gosh, I could answer that so many different ways. I will answer it by saying that I think that sometimes that leaders can lose sight of the fact that they're leaders for a reason, and by being able to really understand what it is that they're trying to accomplish, to have that vision, to clearly be able to communicate, the incremental steps that it takes to get there. I think there's a difference. It's one thing to be a leader, and it's another thing to be very strategic. And I think sometimes leaders forget to be maybe strategic, that they can get by maybe on some maybe soft skills that are maybe fall under the kind of umbrella of leadership. But leadership is a whole lot of things. And I think for me, sometimes that strategy piece is the most important piece that leaders, I think, often don't employ soon enough.
Great question.
Awesome. So Brenda, do you set aside specific times to cast vision to your team or to other leaders?
I do. I mean, I think that that's something that I'm very mindful of. I have a very structured day. If you've ever heard me speak, you know that I get up very early. I'm very intentional about how I spend my time and who I spend my time with, and what I spend my time doing. I'm very intentional about all of those things, and that helps me to be a better leader because I can stay really focused. And again, if you've ever heard me talk about the power of no, I'm really good at saying no, but my no gets me closer to what's important in my life.
Right.
And so I think for me, it's really when I do mentor leaders, especially kind of the young leaders in our community, really having them be intentional about what their vision is for their future, and then putting steps in place to help them get there, and being able to say no with confidence, that no is going to get them closer to the point of what they feel or what their definition of success is, because I think leaders can be pulled in so many different directions, and then there's really no trajectory to take them in the path that they really want to go.
Yeah.
So
That's
true.
awesome. Very good. Thank you, Brenda. I had a question in regards to organization. So as a leader, what do you feel is one of the most important core values that you need in an organization?
Oh gosh, trust and integrity. I mean, that's
Good. Very good.
really, really super easy. And I think that, you know what, I think it's been tested during this COVID-19 period. I mean,
Yeah.
if you built a strong team and you had the trust in place, I think most teams would say that this has been a fairly easy time to transition. I think that there were problems before, they're magnified now.
Mhm.
But I definitely think having trust and integrity, not only in the leadership, but also,
Yeah.
and I, you know, and I'm always telling my team, you know, if you don't understand something, well, you know, like an objective, or you don't understand a vision that I've cast, I mean, I really do want you to come and we can clarify that together. Because I want you to trust in why I'm making the decision. You know, oftentimes I have the time to like really walk through, you know, this is
Yeah.
why we're doing something. And oftentimes it's more of a directive, but I always want to make sure that my team trusts that there's strategy behind any decision that I'm making.
Very good. Thank you. Wonderful.
So, what is one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess?
Gosh, there's so many. There's you know, obviously I just mentioned the integrity and the trust piece. That's super important to me. I think that's what leadership is based on. That's the foundation. I mean, for me personally, it's probably based around three things. One is my faith. It's where I make decisions. It's the compass for how I lead my life. I would say the other two things. I probably tend to value kindness, probably more, but I say this, and I don't want anybody to ever, you know, misunderstand my kindness for not being, you know, bold or not knowing exactly what I want. But I think that when we bring a level of kindness, that anything can be accomplished. Even crucial conversations can be done through kindness. But sometimes that's misrepresented by weakness. And I never want anyone to confuse the two. And I would say that my third thing that I think that every leader should possess is, we talked about this a little bit, is that humility, is remembering what it was like to be 25 and 30, and when you were struggling in those years, or looking to figure out what track you were in. I mean, I think that leadership is a process, and we as leaders, who I feel a responsibility and an obligation to, you know, pass the torch. It's, you know, if I don't leave this community in a, you know, better than when I found it, then I haven't done my job. And part of that is rising up leaders. It's making sure that this next generation that's coming up has the tools that they need to be able to lead successfully. And part of that is remembering what it was like for me when I was in their shoes, when I was trying to figure out, you know, which lane do I actually want to be in. So that humility piece and transparency is really important to me. I've never wanted to fall in the position of it can't happen to me, because a lot of things, I always call it my mountains that I've climbed. We all have mountains that we climb. And I never want to forget that where I, you know, the mountains that I've climbed, the challenges that I have faced, I've never wanted to pretend at any moment that those things don't happen to me. And I think because of my transparency and my leadership, I think it allows other people to be more authentic.
Love
Awesome.
that.
Thank
And
you.
I
Yeah.
witnessed that from you. That's awesome.
Brenda, I have the privilege of closing out our final question, and I really don't want to, because I'm really just enjoying this, jumping on this. So I'm really enjoying it.
Let's just keep going, right? It'll be
Why
the
not? I'm co-host. Why not? Well, my final question I have, and it's really one that hasn't failed me yet, is if you had to choose, you know, who you would like to break bread with, who would it be?
Gosh, you know, that's, again, you guys, like, these questions, I could answer them each 10 different ways. You know, my go-to for that is, I had a brother who passed away at the age of 29. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia when he was 19, and he would have been 50 this year. But he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. We had no idea about mental illness. We didn't talk about it. People, you know, it just wasn't something that we discussed. And, you know, out of his life, and again, like, the Carriage House was born out of that. And, you know, I've often thought, he died at the age of 29. And I often thought, like, you know, if he would have lived, what would his life have been like? So there's there's this thing that, I would like one more time on a bench sitting, talking to him about what his experience was like when he was mentally ill. I was too young to maybe ask the important questions. It was something that we got through. It was something that we were challenged with, but it wasn't something that I necessarily took the time to maybe understand from a human perspective, especially from him.
Sure.
And do I wish that I had one more conversation that I could have had just to like really understand what it was like to have that type of challenge. Now I go on because I can tell you that every person in our community that's struggling with a mental illness, they're part of my family. So I understand it now, but if I could just break bread with one person one more time, it would definitely be my brother Chad. But there's lots of historical figures. There's people now that I would love to. When people talk about whether leadership matters or not, man, take a look at what's happening right now. Leadership matters. I was on a call just a few days ago with a group of students, and I said to them, like, leaders during chaos, they either rise or, some of them crash and burn. And it's really understanding, that focus, and you have to be very resolute in where you make your decisions and how you make them. And I'm seeing that play out right now on the national level. And it's, that's why leadership matters. That's why it's important that leaders do, that we have them, that people step out, they speak out. I always say, just show up and speak out. You know things for a reason, and you need to add it to the conversation. So.
Absolutely. I love that. Show up and speak up.
Oh yeah.
Adding that value.
Well, I've been saying that for years. We know things for a reason. All of our life's experiences and all of our paths have been different. And it's, when you show up, it's one thing to show up. But then when we do, we need to also speak up. So.
Absolutely. Great. Brenda,
hashtag.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, hashtag. Yeah, there you go. Hashtag.
What is it?
Hashtag Queen Sarah.
I said that's our new hashtag. Show up, speak up.
Oh yeah.
Show up and speak up.
No, I said if leaders don't do anything else, it's show up. Just show up. If it's if you have a question about whether you should or not, you should. And I encourage so many leaders, and to indulge me, like I always say, like, and then when you do speak up, leave it in the room. So many of us walk out of that room and then we beat ourselves up over why did we say that, or we need to say it and be confident in it, and we need to leave it in the room and we need to move on. But if we can just teach leaders that one critical kind of piece is what they have to say is important, and it can change an entire conversation with their perspective.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Brenda. What a wonderful time. We so appreciate you taking time out of your day and in the midst of all this quarantine crisis stuff.
Yeah.
It's great to be able to connect like this. And thank you
I
for
have to tell you,
doing that.
Yeah, well, as a leader, I came prepared. I was pretending that I was going to guess at what questions. I didn't get one right. I wrote down answers for everything that I thought you could ask, and I'm like, nah, missed them all. So.
The thing is I called Scott earlier and I said, so what is she saying? And he said, this is what, no, not really.
No, but I do love the questions you asked, and what a great concept that First Fridays has brought to life through the HI-5. I hope it stays.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. What a blessing to have you.
Yes.
Sarah, a member of our First Fridays board, as well as the owner and CEO of Socially Seasoned. Yeah. So thank you for being with us, and homeschooling mother of two. Yeah. Woo. A buddy of mine used to always say, better you than me. Well, at the very end of our high five, we always do a countdown from 3, and we will do a high five to our camera, Brenda. So is everybody ready?
Here we go.
Ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. High five. Thanks for joining us, everybody. God bless.